man, we're live and direct. We have to come correct on a Sunday afternoon. Sunday Scoops, good afternoon.
El primer
Domingo.
Sunday, Domingo.
Yes. Yeah, it's another Sunday afternoon
Yeah,
right here in
miss
South
the
Florida.
night.
And it's, I'm sorry to say it's a Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday Scoops time.
Yeah, man. And today we have one of the legends. When we say legend, this man is a legend. And we want to do the thing formally, Richie. What his name? Prince Buster.
Prince
OD.
Buster. Cecil Bustamante Campbell,
Yeah, man.
who was born on May 24th in 1938 at Orange Street in Kingston. And as you just said, God, if there ever was a legend in Jamaican music, that legend, that would have to be, without question, Prince Buster.
Brethren, we know the ubiquitous nature of Robert Nesta Marley. But them man yeah, them precede Robert. And there's a song that I want to open with. There's a song that I want to open with that shows you the effect of Prince Buster's music before we even start getting into from the first salvo, Fired and everything. There's a white group called my White Mud Group, I think 2012, or one of them years that did a song called, they call themselves Madness.
They borrowed the name.
And from the song Madness, Prince Buster's Madness. And they did a song called The Prince. And this is ode to Prince Buster from a white pseudo-ska group called Madness. Now, let me tell you, I want the viewers to understand this. When you get to a certain level from the beginning of time, once you're at a certain level, what makes you legendary is when your name appears in song. The bards create song about your deeds and the things that you've accomplished as a man. And Prince Buster is all of that.
You talk about legend, and you're right. Here is a group, almost 2 decades after Buster step out of the scene, is literally.
No, he was alive when they did this song.
No, this was 2001.
2012.
Yeah, sorry. And so here is a group that is taking the work, literally saying to the world, listen, all of Jamaica talk about where the music come from and who made music popular. Here's the thing, and critically, you see what the lines of the song. Orange Street.
Keep running, he
right?
will never get to
Even
Orange
if you
Street.
keep running, you can't get to Orange Street. Because guess what? Buster, when he came into the business, shook up Orange Street.
And Richie McCann tell us that this man here, they really shake up Orange Street.
Listen, you said a tune there, you could have played a tune there for the next hour for me. There was a time in Jamaican music when a tune big and the tune hit the turntable on a sound system dance, that tune is going to do maybe 20 turns on that turntable for the night before the dance
and there's nothing wrong with repeating music. We've gotten to a point now in parties where man cuss because another DJ come and repeat something where next DJ played earlier. And I remember as a kid in the 1980s, when like Dennis Brown Revolution, when that song hit 4 times for the night, 5 times for the night, that song I play, and nobody complaining.
Yeah, but the significance of the two songs is that this is the impact that Prince Buster had. We're not taking none from Marley and the Jimmy Cliff them and thing, but it is my view that Prince Buster opened the door of Jamaican music to Jamaicans generally and Jamaicans specifically and the world generally. But the best way to deal with this, God, is to go back to the beginning, right? Because
Absolutely.
Prince Buster came into the thing as, born in Kingston, May 24, 1938, and basically went to Central Branch School and St. Anne's schools, at both downtown school. Of course, like most Jamaicans who became involved in the music business, Buster used to be in the church. Of course, that's what Jamaican parents do. You take your children and go to church. Sunday sometime, I'll 3 times for the day for Sunday, and most definitely during the week you have a couple during the week service. But as a youth, grew up in the church thing, hone his voice and his ability, singing abilities through that. As a youth in school, he got into the performing business and performed 2 or 3 times a week at what was then Glass Bucket Club. Now, Glass Bucket is not a little common club, Glass Bucket, a uptown club in them time, right? So we're talking about 1950. Buster would have been what, 12 years old? Yeah, Buster would have been 12, and he is now, creating some footprints in the business. He was also, in the as a performer, performing in the little local talent shows and thing. He was also part of the Frankie Lyman sing and dance troops, right. What they call the rock and roll era. Frankie Lyman music was about the early 50s rock and roll and thing, R&B rock and roll. And of course, he was also a big fan of the sound system Tom the Great Sebastian, which was owned by Thomas Wang. Now, Tommy Wang played plenty R&B music, and we're talking about R&B coming out of North America, some pop music coming out of England. That was the music Jamaicans were listening to in the 1950s. And of course, in time, he apprenticed himself to Coxsone, who was operating the Sir Coxsone's downbeat sound system.
And Duke Reid.
Right. And
with the Trojan.
The Trojan was around the corner, those were the 3 big sound in Kingston at the time, because we always talk about the big sound as if to say the music was only in Kingston. But in Kingston, these were the 3 big sounds of the day. Coxsone's downbeat, Trojan sound, and Tom the Great Sebastian. And of course, Tommy Wang used to murder them all the time because him have to. And then by that early period of the 50s when the farm work program opened up, everybody started to travel, go overseas. And the idea you do the farm work thing and you spend your money and buy some
record and
right. That you
and
can
it
bring
was
back.
a 2-pronged thing. One, the record was to play on the sound system,
Right.
and I think some of it was for sale to other sound systems.
Absolutely. So that was the kind of environment. Of course, because of the competition between the 3 sounds and at the time, Buster, who was now along with Coxsone, basically was Coxsone's spy, if you will. He would go to
and his henchman too.
Right. Spy on it, yeah.
Because Buster was known as a very good boxer at the time.
Right.
Man was a wicked pugilist.
So he was Coxsone's bodyguard, if you will, right? So but the problem him say about it is that every time him go to a Duke Reid dance and things broke out, fight broke and thing, and get him head bust and so Coxsone really.
Him is one of them man that song came out, Dance Crasher.
Yes, he was one of the chief dance crasher. But him say Coxsone not pay the money. And over time they eventually fell out and he decided that boy, he loved the sound business, he wanted to create his own sound. wanted to get in the music business first and foremost. And I think he opted to try to get on a farmer program. But Coxon had a family member who was in charge of the farmer program. So in order to get a farmer ticket, Prince Buster would have to pass through Coxon
Well,
relative.
it's not even so much relative in the Richard, because I can tell you, I have personal knowledge. The first thing you undergo as someone who wants to come a foreign to work
Feel up the feel
is
yeah.
you have to pass the hand
The hand test.
And if you have massage therapist hands like mine, are nice and soft like baby, you're not going to get through. Because man, so after 1 week of cutting cane, you're not going to
So you can't even hold a cutlass. I want
exactly.
it.
So,
But Buster have it that Coxon set him up. He said Coxon born a bad lamb for him. And when him go there, the man look on Buster and say, yeah, your hand soft like baby butter, man. Where you go, where you go pick? Where you go pick orange and thing and cut cane? Go and go find something to do.
well,
Go find an office work.
that lit a fire under him.
Yes.
And he created Vox Day Populi,
Voice of the people.
sound system.
Well, it said it actually it created the sound to compete, but then it can't get a record because
Them want
the
go
farmer
find forget
thing
the
never
record
worked.
thing,
And
yeah.
it said, boy, if I buy a record second hand from the other man, them now cut it. Them say, you know something, not only am I going to build my voice of the people sound as the biggest sound, I am going to change the direction of the music. And so I'm going to create my own music for my sound system. And listen, this is where he really know hit the thing. The man who was Cox relative for the farmer program was a man named Edgar Darlington. And he was a according to Dog
He was
newspaper.
not a darling.
No, them nothing darling about him. Plus he was a labourite. He was aligned with the
Jamaica Labour Party.
JLP, and he was also aligned with the BITU, Bustamante Industrial Trade Union. It was just coming through the gate at the time. So I think Buster was kind of on the other side of the political fence as well. So a long time this court against politics are going, you know. And Buster decides, boy, you know something, him have to find a way. So he decided to start to produce his own music. And he wanted to do, according to the scribes, him said, he wanted to create a kind of a fusion between the local R&B and the foreign R&B, the North American R&B and jazz. And then he wanted a sound that was completely different from everything.
What do we call it? A song that was completely Jamaican.
Well, yeah, but different from, I'm saying, nowadays, what was also important is that at the time, the talent contests were turning out a lot of vocal talent.
And he took part in those talent competitions too.
And so he decided that, you know something, I'm going to do this a little bit differently. So he started to connect with some names that we know them through the Scatterlights eventually, Drumbago, Auckland Parks. He do with people like it was Drumbago, Jajere, guitarist, and with those guys he formed what a little band him called the Busters Group, and he started out now with the pushing the decision to do some recording, and what unknown to most, where everybody celebrate this big song, Oh Carolina, but this was a song that was done by the Folks Brothers, and it was written by one of the brothers who was kind of had a girlfriend who was giving him some issues, and so he wrote the song thing. At the time, too, the recording thing is opening up. Siaga.
Before that was as Federal Records.
Right. But
And WIRL.
WIRL, it was owned by Siaga at the time. And one of these same talent contests, they had discovered Higgs and Wilson with Manio. And that song basically kicked down the gate. Siaga eventually helped them record the song through West Indies Records. They did it on a Federal, and the song basically made some waves both locally and overseas, because CR had a brief stint with the music at the time. And Buster decided that he wanted to fuse that sound, right, with
Right.
the local talent. And he organized a recording session at RJR. RJR had a
Richard,
eh?
he did not organize a recording session at RGR. He
He
organized a
organized
recording
and-
session
and squeeze
and
them
then
in.
sneaking the people into RGR because of some Rasta man with some bongo drums and Congo drums.
The man them
And,
said,
and Dr. Dennis Saudi tell us, oh, Carolina is not a ska song, it's not an R&B song, it's a Naya Bingi song. And this was because at the time, as a Rasta man, you pretty much could not go anywhere near a recording studio. Regardless, Federal Records them don't want to see you. Because remember, a couple years before that, Busta Mantel did say what?
bringing out the Rasta.
Alright, sir. So,
Dead or alive.
here is O Carolina with the Folk Brothers, produced by Prince Buster. The first outing, big bad tune, and Shaggy made some senior money after this tune in the 90s. Carolina, darling, all my love to you. And you hear the beating of the Congo drums and you know, what is guys again? Count Azia.
Count Ozzy and the mystic revelation of Rastafari.
Alright, sir.
But it basically, as I said, if the people in my RJR didn't know that Rasta was coming in the studio, that tune would never, it wouldn't
See
make
the light of day.
It wouldn't see the light of day. But Buster squeeze them through and bring them in the studio, and the rest is history. The important thing too is that this song marked the introduction of Rastaman
Into the music
into
industry.
Jamaican music, right? And nobody telling you anything else. This was the gate, the opening of the gate, and Rasta. This, in fact, the tune was put together in 1959. It wasn't recorded until 1961, right? But because the brothers had apparently written the song then. Song also was a source of some contention between the family and Prince Buster later on. But we get to that in time.
Yeah, but what? So the reason for that is you'll see different mention for the song. If you're doing research, you'll see O Carolina 1960. You'll see O Carolina 1961. You'll see some people say 1959.
Right.
But
the song was actually put together because the band had been rehearsing for a while. And the guys approached Buster. Buster liked what he heard and decided, you know, he liked the lyrics, but he wanted to create a different kind of sound. And this hand drum that you hear that became the sort of the anchor of the tune came from the Nyabingi drummers from Count Ozzy. Now, it's important though that while this was his first big hit, he had been recording a little bit before that. They had done with his Busters group a couple other tunes, which
like a song called Luke Lane Shuffle
and
Little Honey.
Little Honey and so on. But of course, these are more blues, R&B blues tune in a local vein, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's important because sometimes we talk about, when we hear people talk about Jamaican music, is reggae or
And
ska or dancehall, or to a lesser extent mental,
Rocksteady.
and then rocksteady. But the reality is that long before we were hearing about those, Jamaican musicians were playing jazz, they were playing blues, they were playing R&B. So it's just a question of understanding the timelines, because the music of the day that everybody was listening to would have been North American
rock and
roll
and
and
R&B and all of that.
and so that naturally was being influenced. The other thing that is a misnomer that a whole heap of people out there who call themselves scribes in the music business talk about ska as if the Scatolites were the only people who were playing music at the time in Jamaica. These guys, the names we mentioned earlier, the Drum Bago and and so on. These guys were playing with what's his name, Cluet Johnson's Clues J and the Blues Blaster, because we were always turning out musicians. A lot of some
Yes.
who were coming out of Alpha, and then of course we had the Cuban influence, Rico Rodriguez and them guys who came over from Cuba,
And we
and
also
so
had the Eastern Caribbean or Southeastern Caribbean influence,
right.
like a Lynn Tate.
Lynn Tate.
Yeah.
And Lynn Tate would particularly 1961 was when Lynn Tate actually dropped into the picture too. But again, and Lynn Tate did some work with Prince Buster, because Buster was intent.
And he was an affable person, you know. He was somebody who was very intellectual. You know, he actually started a mosque in downtown Kingston.
Which is what got him in trouble with the government, because they saw these guys as these black Muslims. You know, I think we need to have a better. I'm glad you made that point, because to understand the Jamaican environment that this music is coming from, right? And all the more reason why this particular episode of the show is so important, because we want to look again at the foundation and provide the credit where it is due. Without a Prince Buster, I'm not gonna say that our music wouldn't have gotten anywhere, but Buster's influence.
Well, and it was also influenced by the smoothness of Muhammad Ali, whom he later went on and befriended, and they were very good friends.
Right. In fact, Ali spent some time with Buster.
Plus, he was in love boxing.
He see himself as a big. Well, he was an established boxer.
He was an established boxer.
Absolutely. But Buster had his own vision, and he figured that he wanted to create a sound. In fact, when he built the sound, he had a Rasta community downtown in a place called Bump, right behind Coronation Market, or behind Grass Yard, which is the market before you get to Coronation Market. Grass Yard is a open air market where them sell coal. The Rasta them would have burn coal and sell coal in the market, plus other produce and things. And then Buster put him sound together, and he carried down a bump, so the Rasta man them could have blessed the sound. And by blessing the sound, them had to hear the sound play before them pass it. And according to the legend at the time, if them Rasta man then pass your sound, dog dead with you, right? And so Buster put up a sound that had far more ampage than anybody else was playing. Basically, he had a sound that could have drawn out everybody else. But the people liked it, and more importantly, with him creating music that was more Jamaican, that was very, very successful as well for Buster, because he was now using that to pull the crowds. Because what his music catalog, not that Jamaica people don't want to hear the foreign tune, because that them grow up on, but hearing them people that them know and singing on a record.
Yes, of course. This just that it's like you loving to watch ball to run. You know, there's a special joy in your heart for say, yo, I wanna wee.
There you go. We're up on a break. Let's take that and we'll right back.
Yeah, I was we're talking about Prince Buster creating that mosque downtown Kingston, and the government put him under a whole heap of pressure, so much so that he actually moved to Miami because of that.
But that was a few years later in the 1970s. Listen, everything in Jamaica is tainted or tinged by the negativity of the way the country practices its politics. In fact,
and it's not just that too, preacher. There's also international pressure, because once the Nation of Islam, which Prince Buster kept his membership until his dying day, he revered Muhammad Ali so much so that he became Islamic, or became a Muslim. And he even befriended Muhammad Ali, and they kept a very good friendship until the day of his death.
Yeah, but the point I wanted to make, having regard to that, because you have to look at the period when that mosque was created. That was in the 1970s, right? Buster though was always on the edge with the authorities because him don't play by the rules that them set up, and plus he was not a fan of the government of the day in the 1960s. But if you go back, with the politics, 1962 we're independent. The Buster carried the ball for a little bit and then hand it over to Sangster, who never lasts 5 minutes, and then Shearer take over. And then you had the problem with the Walter Rodney riots, which was 1968. So all during that time, Buster is finagling with the government. Him and them in all kind of cascas.
Well, Bridget, if you think about it, 1960, you carry a group of Rastaman into a private organization. If the government is pressuring Rastafarianism, what do you think Prince Buster going to do? Join them?
But
No,
friend. So
that man is a pro-Rasta. He might have been Muslim, but he's a pro-Rasta. The man embraced Rastafari. Because the two of them talking, because there's one thing that is common between being a Muslim and being a Rasta man is the Old Testament. Or the Quran, as you'd call it.
But let's go back to the music though. Let's focus on the thing because some of Buster's activities were madness, if you want to call it that. And if you can't pick a fight with the government and you try to fight it by yourself, madness. And so
no pun intended.
No pun intended. In fact, he must have chosen by the name, madness. So but this is the metal, and that's what we're basically looking at with this episode is his approach and why it would always put him on a collision course with the authorities. Yes, the song itself had some a deeper meaning, but in my opinion, he couldn't have done a better song at the time. 1963, a couple of things were happening in Jamaica. We're just coming out of independence, all of the glamour and the glitter of the bright lights of independence. Yeah, the feel good feel started to wear off fast because unemployment was still high. You're not creating opportunities for the young people. Buster at this time is a young man in his early 20s. Eh?
Yeah, and when you're a young man in the early 20s, your belly full of fire.
And absolutely. And so here is a man who has he is now taking charge of his own destiny, even at that early
And that's
age.
one of the teachings of being a Muslim. Yeah. Focus on your self-development.
And there's no better example of that. But having said that, with the startup of his sound system, he's putting the music out there to support the sound. And of course, a rash of hits came out during this time.
And a rash of hits were songs like Locally and Shuffle, Little Honey, Never Never, Millie Girl, the feud he had with Derek Morgan. One of the first songs was Watch It Blackhead. Enjoy Yourself, which was a cover version of another of a rock and roll hit. Pain in My Belly with the Maytals, Burke's Law, Hard Man for Dead.
Why don't play some of the
Oh,
tunes?
man, I play no music today. I talk about Prince Buster. Not for the music too.
Yeah.
But I'd like to introduce you to Locally and Shuffle and Little Honey, which were two of the other songs which were recorded by Prince Buster
In the earlier days.
in the 1960s.
Hi there. If you enjoyed that clip, go on over to our website at yardmedia.com where you can watch the entire broadcast at your leisure. And while you're there, why don't you check out our other reggae music features? And before you leave, pick up some of our Jamaican reggae merchandise and hey, don't forget to tell your friends.